My name is Yuting. I'm a new navigator with Mastrius. I joined as a member since last year, and then this year I became a navigator. So Wayne probably the first group I'll be navigating for. Um, I'll give a short intro of Wayne. Wayne Jiang is a Portland-based realistic acrylic painter, combining the aesthetics of 17th century Baroque paintings and the composition of modern documentary photography. His works has been described as the contemporary interpretations of Vermeer and Hopper. His work has been widely exhibited in museums and galleries, such as the Morris Graves Museum of Art, Triton Museum, Croker Museum, Lanzhou Chinese Garden, History San Jose, and Gardino Gallery. As an art educator, Wayne specializes in teaching acrylic, both in person and online. He has 3 decades of experience working with acrylic and 13 years of teaching the medium. His students are artists that with diverse skill levels, from someone who has never painted to a professional artist who wants to refine their acrylic technique or learn a new medium. Wayne's deep interest in art history is incorporated in both his paintings and how he teaches. Wayne, we're very nice having you today.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for everybody for coming. I'm gonna do a little presentation, and there'll be a Q&A at the end. So, and of course, this is a Mastrius event, so I'm gonna be talking a little bit about the mentoring group that I'm having in March. So, but let me just share my screen here. Okay. So can everybody hear me? Good? Okay. All right. Okay. First of all, I want to thank Mastrius for hosting the event and my wonderful navigator, Yuting. Thanks for putting this together. Um, and I'm starting a mentoring group with Mastrius in March 7th, and it meets every first Thursday every month from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So those who are not in Pacific time, you can figure out what time it's yours. It is, and I'll talk a little bit about it toward the end of this talk. Topic I'm going to talk a little bit about today is some tips on creating a unique body of work. As you get better as an artist and you are showing your work either in galleries or selling it on your own, it's important to have a body of work that are consistent in theme and styles, so people can see what you're about. And I've been painting for a really long time, so I'm used to creating many body of work in many different themes, and so I'll use that as my example for my talk today, and hopefully you'll get some idea how to inspire you to develop some of your own work as well. So I'll be talking about the example I'll be using are mainly going to be on these 4 themes here: my night paintings, my restaurant painting, my figurative paintings, and my still life paintings. I will also just briefly go into a little bit about my cityscape painting, my landscape painting, and my interior painting. And before I get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. Yes, I'm a Portland-based acrylic painter, and that's my wonderful cat Mosey trying to get off my lap. And I've been teaching painting. I focus mostly teaching in 2 things. I've been teaching in acrylic, and also I teach color. And recently I've been mentoring other artists one-on-one, and then in March I'll doing in a group online setting. Here's some of my works. One of my restaurant paintings. I'm gonna mute. Let's see. I'm gonna mute everybody here. Hold on. Keep going. Here's another restaurant painting. And I'm also do a series of night paintings. This is a school in Portland. And I thought I showed this because we've been having some snows around here. So my stone night paintings, and also do a series of still lifes. A lot of them involve flowers because I've been doing a lot of gardening, so might as well use those subject matters. Here's another one. The technique that I use many acrylic techniques, but the one of them that's most notable for is I'm using techniques from the Baroque painters such as Peter Paul Rubens, starting painting with an underpainting and then slowly building it up. So this is sort of like a snapshot of one of my painting technique, my Baroque master technique, using using underpainting and lots of thin layer a bit on top. Of course, as you know, the old master painting in oil, I paint in acrylic. So this is a technique that I've been developing for the last 3 decades. And one of the comment people often say is that like my painting look like oil, but they're actually acrylic. So if you want to learn how to do this technique, feel free to check out my website and with classes that with this technique in it. So back to the topic of the day here. I want to give you some tip how to create a unique body of work.
Enjoying the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when new Mastrius videos are added.
And a lot of time when you are just starting or you're thinking about applying to galleries or thinking about making a living doing art or whatever, it's a little bit daunting to think about creating a whole bunch of painting with the same theme. So here's a couple things that I do to help me make this process a little easier, and hopefully it'll help you make it easier for you as well. And so start, and I broke it down to 5 tips. There's more than that, but if I share all of them, you will be here till next week. So I'm just gonna give you kind of an overview for it, and if you want to know more, we can definitely talk more about that in the mentoring group. So number 1 is really tell your story. When you are creating artwork, people want to know who you are, what your point of view is, right? So and that's the same thing as creating your own voice and so on and so forth. So I'm going to use myself as an example. So who am I? Well, my main identity is that I am a Chinese immigrant. I came to this country in 1987 to the San Francisco Bay Area. You can see me. That's me on the right over there. So in a lot of my paintings, I kind of reflect that immigrant experience. So here's painting. Here's some of my earlier work that has that there. This is my my cousin's wedding, and this is a ritual that my family a lot of Chinese family goes through called spring sweeping. So you basically go to your ancestors' grave, and you are and you basically offer food to your ancestor, and then you have a picnic afterwards. So this is the scene where the foods are pretty done, but we're burning the paper money for our ancestors. So as I explored this theme of the immigrant experience, here's another one of a immigrant working in a sidewalk shop in Chinatown in San Francisco. This one is fairly recent. Here's another one of my cousin's wedding. At the end of the wedding, the adult kind of got out of the table to talk to other adults, thus leaving the kids alone. So this kind of describes that moment. So as I do more and more this, I kind of grab onto the Asian restaurant theme. Food is one of those things that's really important to immigrants, and it's one thing once you leave a place that that you grew up in, food becomes some sort of connection to it. And also it made it a very nice connection to people who are not in your culture, because we all can relate to food, right? So eventually I kind of grab onto creating paintings of Asian restaurants, not just Chinese restaurants, but other Asian restaurants like Vietnamese, Thai restaurants. And once you decide a subject matter that's meaningful to you, the aesthetic kind of just comes along, because the Asian restaurants definitely has a certain aesthetic to it that it's not in, say, an American restaurant or a diner or so on, or Italian restaurant. So that becomes that so that everything kind of comes easy when it kind of limited a lot of choices for you as you just settle down into one subject matter. So here's more of these restaurant paintings. And here's another one. So tip number 2, in your paintings, try to reference art history, but with contemporary subjects. That makes your art a little bit more sophisticated, and also something that people can relate to. So again, one of the things that I love to do, even earlier on in my career as an art student, is I love visiting museums. So and then I kind of continue that to today. Today I take my students to art museums to look at art, not just to look at art. Looking at art is a great way to learn about it, because just like as if you are a writer, one way to get better as a writer is to read other people's writing, right, and analyze why it makes it work. So I taking that approach to my painting as well. I'm using and so just like, become a better writer, you read other writings. I go to museum and look at other paintings, not just looking at them, but analyzing them and see why they work, and then use it in my own work, right? And one of the genre that I really love is the Baroque still life paintings, such as this one by William Kauf. So I have taken that aesthetic into my own paintings, except I'm using, a contemporary subject matter, right? So we have the books, instead of the fancy silver picture there, I'm using a regular teapot, right? So and I'm using the same lighting, and then somewhat the similar placement as well. Here's one, this painting on the left is a painting that I visit quite often when I live in San Francisco. Recently my sister-in-law sent me a box of pears, those fancy Harry and David holiday gift packages. And then the pear was wrapped in paper and gold foil. So so it reminds me of that, what I saw in the Jiang, that painting. So I painted something similar. So using the similar lighting. So and then other times the reference are slightly more subtle. For example, this Hopper painting here. It definitely records Hopper, but I'm using reference that subject matters are contemporary, right? And also I'm also recalling the immigrant experience. So it's kind of that's double duty here, right? It recalls the reference to Hopper painting, but also brings my own experience and immigrant experience to it, right? So here's a Vermeer paintings. I was in a ramen shop, and the lighting that's come from the window that hits this guy eating a ramen reminds me of this painting on the left. So so I snapped a whole bunch of photos and I did this painting. And also I use a similar color palette that Vermeer used. I used it for it. So basically the more, so it's not like I'm intentionally look for the subject matter when I'm out there, but the more I know about art history, the more you can find something that you can that are similar in lighting or subject matter and so on and so forth. So here's one. The one on the left is a Rembrandt painting. Again, when I saw my friend playing the banjo, it reminds me of that Rembrandt lighting. So I created that painting on the right there as well. And then far as my my Asian condiment paintings that I'm fairly known for, it kind of makes a reference to these painters in the 70s and 80s that painted a lot of diner scenes. You know, the reason they painted the diner scene was a subject matter that's very Americana. So these restaurant themes are kind of my version of American Kana is, right? So the nice thing about referencing works from other paintings is it's give you something for other people to relate to, right? It's something, and also if you're using a subject matter that recalls other subject matters that are similar, it kind of help people understand your subject matter from their point of view, but also seeing something new. So that idea of something familiar and also something new, it's a great thing in creating your own unique work. Find something that people can relate to, but also something that's unique to you. And that's a really, really wonderful combination. And then sometimes you can, have more than one reference, right? You can have the condiment reference, and then you can have the Baroque painting reference. So that works even better. Okay, tip number 3 is to cross-reference your themes, right? So what that means is that you can make work that fits in multiple themes, and that makes it easier for you to so one painting kind of serves multiple purpose, right? So for example, my condiment painting, my still life condiment painting, and my restaurant painting with a condiment in it. So this painting here, right, definitely, even though it's a restaurant painting, have a scene, it can go into my still life series because it has still life in it, right? And then in the same token, this painting can also go into be part of my interior painting because it's a interior scene that just happened to have some still life in it, right? So I can show so this painting, I can put this in a couple of themes and place in a couple of shows, right? And then in the same token, because this, and then a painting like this, I can put it in, again, my interior painting themes. I can put it in my night painting theme because it's definitely night, right? And then, of course, I can put this as part of my restaurant themes, right? So I can fit this painting in 3 themes. So that serves it really well. And then number 4, and this is a really big one, is you should explore different things. You should explore color composition and all the artistic elements within the painting. And sometimes people would ask me, how do you not get bored painting the same subject matter over and over again, right? And truth be told, when you are painting a series, it's a little bit like a relationship, right? You know, how do you keep your relationship keep going for a long time and still make it interesting? So for the presentation, what I decided to do is I look back to different stage of my night paintings. The one on the top left, it's the first night painting that I did in 2002. And then the one on the bottom right is one of my later ones. So you can see the color difference that's from the beginning to now. You can see I definitely got a little more colorful, and my colors are definitely a little more saturated, whereas in the beginning, and my colors are pretty kind of true to real life in some way, and I got a little more adventuresome with color as I developing this series here. So there's a couple ways to explore colors in your themes, and number one way to do it is to explore color using color theory. So this is a recent painting that I did. This is a condiment and where a still life from a diner that's around here. So I want to do this painting, the subject matter again of these this red a napkin holder and the sugar container and the salt and pepper, right? But I didn't want to keep painting the same thing over again, so I want to experiment a little with color. So you can see on the left here, that's what the photo reference looks like. So what I did is I did couple color studies using different color variations, and see how I can kind of just make it a little different than the color that's in the photo reference, right? So I did these four this color study here. The color study on the right are probably more detail of color study that I usually do. They're usually much looser and faster. But in this one, I really want to work out the subtle colors, like in the reflection, in the metal, in the glass, and so on and so forth. So I actually took the time to work the color study a little more than I usually do. For your reference, the color study on the right are 8x10 size. So each of the color study is 4x5 inches. And then so I'm using the idea of a dominant color and supporting color. The dominant color usually is the more saturated. The supporting colors are slightly more unsaturated. So on the first one here, I'm using the primary color scheme, right? Blue, yellow, and red, right? Except the yellow and blues are much more muted because they're the supporting color. The one down here, I'm using a kind of a complementary color with green and red, with a little bit of supporting color from the yellow or yellow-orange. Again, the green is a supporting color, so it's much more muted. And the one on the right is kind of a red to purple analogous color color theme. And then the one on the right, it's more of kind of a red to orange and brown kind of scheme. So and then based on this, I just finished this painting on the left using the green and red color scheme. And so this is color study is one of the things that's really useful to do when you kind of stuck in your painting, where you you want to just explore the possibility. So, but it's not something that you need to do every time. So now that I figure out these color palette that I can that works with this particular theme, next time I do something similar, I probably don't need to paint the color study again, right? So the next time, instead of the green and red one, I might just do the yellow, blue, and the primary color one, right? And then maybe another time I will use the more purple version. So this is something that, once you've done something, it's kind of in your back pocket that you can just pull out to use it later. So that's one way to explore color. The other way to explore color is to explore color recipe from your favorite artists. So, and I do this quite a bit. The one on the left is a Mastrius illustration that I use for my snow painting on the right. The reason I use Mastrius color palette is that I grew up in Northern California, so where we never see snow. So when I moved to Portland, there's snow. I feel like I'm a kid again. I feel like there's a wonderment and a beauty in snow. So, and the Mastrius is a American illustrator that did a lot of children's illustration. So his color palettes kind of connect to things that are magical. So when I see things in nature that feels magical to me, it's a really good color palette for me to use. Here's the one that I use from my favorite Spanish painter, Diego Velázquez, and perhaps his most famous painting, Las Minas, right? And so the Velázquez and a lot of Spanish painters use the kind of a black, brown, and red color palettes. And so black and red is a very Spanish color, and it just happened to be a color that shows quite a bit in Chinese culture too, black and red, right? And one of the reasons is that both the Spaniards and Chinese, we all both have black hair, and red looks really good next to black. So that's so I use that. So what that means is that in the photo reference, whatever you have, you kind of downplay any other color that's not black and black, brown, and red, right? So for example, you can see there's some greens in the dishes there. They're intentionally muted down so the browns and the reds and the blacks can be much more forward, right? So here, so this is a painting I did for a painting class where I use a Paul Gauguin painting, and I broke it down to main, supporting, and accent color. And then I did a color study, and then I used the color study to paint the painting of my my friend's daughter playing banjo. So in the bottom left, the bottom right, you can see the photo reference, right? You can see all the color that I substituted from the I substituted in the painting, right? That's related to the Gauguin painting. So you don't have to paint what you see. You can always substitute to something else, and there's a logical way to do it, right? Okay, and then thirdly, as far as exporting color goes, is that you want to so you don't want to create color just for the sake of using color. You want to use it to create a mood and a meaning, right? It's great that a certain color looks pretty, but if it's beautiful and it has a meaning or mood to it, it's even better, right? So it's like If it has beauty and function, it's better than just beautiful, right? So, I mean, beauty is good too, but function and beauty together, that's even better. So here's a color study that I use in my class. And at the end of the class, I have people, instead of just saying, oh, I like this color combination, I don't like this color combination, I have my students to name the, put a place, a season, and a certain kind of music to a color study. That's kind of give meaning to the certain color combination and the subject matter. So this is a technique that I learned going to when I was in art school. As you know, I have a degree in illustration, and this is a technique that Illustrator uses a lot, that they would create when you work with a client, you have a project, that you create different color combinations and you present it to the client before you do the final painting. And you would try to explain what the feeling attached to each of them. And so you can, and then you and the client can have a conversation why this color combination work and why that doesn't work. So this is a very logical process, right? So, and this is one of the things that I feel like my illustration education served me really well, is to help me talk about color composition very logically, and also it'll create some sort of emotion. How's those combinations of color and composition create an emotional response, right? So whereas a lot of folks, when they're painting, they judge everything by emotion, like do I like it or I don't like it. And the way of logical talking to why certain things fit something, it's a great way to make decisions of what color you should use and what composition you use, right? So this is one of the things I'm going to be doing quite a bit in the mentoring group. It's kind of help you, give you a logical way to give yourself feedback, right? You know, so you don't, you're stuck in something. How do I, work to a solution logically, right? And which is something that served me really well. So, and then a lot of times, when you're working on a project, you choose color because as a symbolism to it, not because you like it or you don't like it, right? So I'm gonna give you a couple example of my interior painting here, and tell you why I choose a certain color. So this is a painting of the Chinese garden in Portland. I have a show there a couple years ago, and it was I think it was 2021. And it was the time when we're just slowly coming, the vaccine just came out, there was, there's a lot of there. So I want to create a painting that's have that a sense of hope at the end of a long process of the whole COVID thing. So, and I'm using the light as the symbolism of the hope that's coming in, right? So that's why, so the painting is about kind of the contrast of despair and hope, right? So in here, I definitely use a lot of muted color, and that muted color is kind of like the despair that I experienced in COVID, and then the light, and then the slightly more saturated color it's a symbolism for hope, that the light's coming in. So in the photograph, there's definitely way more color. The green is definitely more saturated. So I intentionally muted it down, right? That's because I want something to represent the despair in the whole COVID thing, right? And then here's 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 a painting that I did called Moving Day, and it's the scene of me and my old roommate mopping up the apartment before we moved to San Francisco, and this beautiful light that comes in, and the reason I use so much gray in this painting is that gray, it's a, you know, in gray things there's a lot of ambiguity that's attached to gray. So, and that's kind of the feelings that I have about moving out of this apartment, right? We had, some wonderful time in this apartment, so I'm going to miss living there, but I'm also looking forward to moving to a new place, right? So this painting is about ambiguity, right? So a lot of time you want to create a adjective, and that's what I do. I create an adjective of what I want my feeling to be about this painting, and then I create the color based on that. Whereas this is not a moving day picture painting, and this is the apartment that we moved to. So there's definitely more sense of excitement of moving into a new place, looking for something new. So that's why this painting has a slightly more saturated color and a lighter overall color to it, because the sense of possibility or something I look forward to coming in. So you can see here that I create colors in these paintings to have a purpose, not because I like a certain color. I don't like a certain color, but this color works because it served the purpose that I want it to be, right? So that's something that that in mentoring that I do a lot. It's help people figure out what color means to them, but also what color means in general, and then choose color that fits the purpose of it, rather than just putting color for the sake of putting color in it. Okay, and then also when you other things that I do quite a bit is explore different point of views and placements. So what I mean by that, okay, show not tell, right? Okay, so here's my condiment paintings. It was kind of fun to look back on all condiment painting I did here, and you can see the different perspective that I'm using for this condiment. Actually, all four painting up here are condiment from the same restaurant. The one on the left, these two on the left and the one on the right is actually on the same table in the same restaurant. And you can see how I'm able to explore different way of looking at it, right? So, and this is how I can paint condiment painting to the cows come home, because I'm constantly finding different way to look at them, right? So here, the one on the left is the one when the lights come through in the afternoon. This one is a kind of a cloudy day, right? And the point of view is slightly above. This one is a different table, obviously, but instead of the condiment being forward, the utensil holders is in the front, and then the one on the right, it's showing not just the condiment, but the landscape behind it. And then same thing with the one down here. I'm moving, it's the same. Apparently, I really like lemonades. It's, again, the condiments with the it's actually, again, it's the same table in the same restaurant, but I'm arranging it differently. Where this one is more about the condiment, right? Because you don't see much of the background, and this one is about the background and the coming in. And then this one is in the booth. So there's different way you can move things around to kind of explore. There's a lot of play that happens in here, right? So when I go to a restaurant with my wife, I would, before the food comes, I'm kind of just takes these things and move them around. Yeah, it's quite fun. So, so it's not like you've done it once, you're done with it. There's many way to go about it. And then you can also explore sizes and compositions. So one of the things I often do is that I paint something with a really odd size. This sort of started the origin of this kind of panoramic painting is my studio in San Jose used to be right next to the Kaplan shop, and the Kaplan shop would throw out these really beautiful wood panels that's really elongated, and I start taking them and using them as my painting surface. And what's really cool about this kind of panoramic sizes is that you can break the rule of normal, say, 2x3 or 1x1 kind of composition, right? You can put things on top, in the bottom. That creates kind of a story, right? And here's so to keep my restaurant. This is one way for me to keep my restaurant painting more interesting. Is once in a while I will compose something in a panoramic setting, just to challenge myself to arrange something that's more interesting. And
just a heads up, we have about 20 minutes left, and then I think we may want to give people 10
okay,
to 10
I'm
minutes.
almost done. I've got about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course these panoramic paintings looks very much like the scroll paintings, Chinese scroll paintings. So this is kind of a great thing, right? I have something interesting and also reference my own culture. So, and then I take it to my other landscape paintings, and so on and so forth. And then other time I just challenge myself to put things in an odd way, right? Leave a lot of empty space, like this painting in here, like, keep things, empty in one side, not put everything in the middle, put it on the sides to create a more interesting space. Okay, so that's my presentation. Again, my Mastrius mentoring group starts in March 7, and meets every first Thursday every month, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. If you go to the Mastrius site and go to mentorship and find your mentor, you can find my page on it, and that page will kind of describe what I'm good at, and Mastrius has made a really intuitive site where they can you can find a mentor for what they're specialized in, and these are kind of the things that I kind of specialize in. I specialize in teaching you how to up your skill and your technique, color and composition, setting up your art production, and then also teaching you how to self-critique. I can also offer you some advice in marketing and also pricing your artwork. One of the things that was the biggest education that I got when I was in college is that I worked for a couple galleries, nonprofit and profit galleries, to pay for college. So I have I know the gallery world a little bit, far as some of the spoken and unspoken rules, and that serves me well. So I can help you with that. So okay, so that's the end of my presentation. And I would love if you have any question for me.
Hey, Wayne, it's Liz.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm curious about, there's a lot of ways to approach a painting and choose one. And you went through a lot of them, but how much prep work do you do routinely? You probably don't do all of what you just explained.
Right.
Yeah, but a rough sketch, color study, is that typical, or is that only when you're not sure?
So I don't do all those things I talked about in every painting.
Probably not.
So, but when you're stuck in something, so like when I'm stuck in color, then I do a color study.
Okay.
When I'm stuck in like my composition just like just not working, then so one of the things that people often ask is that and you I'm sure you guys got this, people think you must be so inspired to create this artwork. I rely on my process.
Yeah.
Because not every day I get inspired, right? So when I'm not inspired, my process always carries me through. So when something's not working, like my color's not right, I go back to the color study. When when I'm feeling my painting's not doing anything, I think about what the painting is for, what that one adjective. I'm going back to what my purpose is. This reminds me that, you guys seen City Slicker? The movie. So there's one scene where Jack Palance, he plays the cowboy, right? He plays the old cowboy, and Billy Crystal plays the city slicker that's going to a trip that herds cattle, right? And somehow Billy Crystal and the cowboy character become friends, and Jack Palance said this thing that really works in art, and he said, "You know what the meaning of life is? It's this." And then Billy Crystal, in his smart ass way, says, "Oh, it's about your finger." Jack Palance said, "No, it's about that one thing, and everything else is shit." So if my painting's not working, my brain, that scene where Jack Palance said, "Pulls his finger out," kind of comes in my head, and so I go back to what the meaning, what I'm trying to say in this painting, right? Like this, go back to, again, to the adjective, or what my point of view, or what story I'm trying to tell, and see how my artistic choices in color, in subject matter, would serve that purpose. So which, rather than doing everything intuitively. So that's a little bit of my process. And some of these process will become intuitive after you do it more than a few times. But it's always good to have a process in your pocket when things are not working, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much, and thank you. It tells me that it's not mechanical on your part. It's more intuitive and or the voice of experience.
It's a little bit of both, because if you don't have a purpose or a emotional response to your work, the artwork doesn't work. But if everything is going by emotion, that also doesn't work. So it's about kind of connecting your left brain to your right brain constantly. When you're feeling like I'll give you an example. When you're, one of the worst things you can do, and I hear this all the time, people would say I overworked the painting, right? I overworked it. What overwork meaning is that I did too much to this painting somewhere, but I don't know where, so I'm going to give up. So that's usually what that means, right? So usually what that means is that I dislike this painting so much that my emotion kind of clouds my judgment. I have to walk away from it, right? So you kind of have to learn to shut that emotional part down a little bit, and just work the logical side of your brain and say, oh, what is not working, and how can I get it to work, rather than this painting is shit, I'm shit. Yeah. I'm terrible. I'm wasting my time. I should get a regular job, right? You don't want to go down the path of self, abuse. You're right. You want to go on the path of just, think about why it worked and how can I make it work, right? So a lot of time when the painting is not working, and it's kind of a wonderful, and so when I'm teaching a class and when I see a student's frustrated, I'm always get really happy because it becomes like a teachable moment to teach them how to self-critique, Yeah.
Yeah, very much. Well, great. Thank you. That's a good approach.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of it.
Anything else?
Well, if no one else I have a question. So
Yeah.
when at the beginning you mentioned the method you find what subject matter interests you is you kind of digging through your own story, like being an immigrant, and then you find one starting point. So, but for someone else whose interests are more common ground, like someone really just like flowers, some like animals. I think
Okay. So even with those two things, you can find what you need about you. If you like animals, give me an animal.
Cat.
Why do you like cats? Why do you like cats where other people like dogs? Right? You like cats because they're independent nature. Right? Their fierceness, their self-assuredness, right? So that there's always something there that's unique about you. And so one of the things that you want to do is think as you painting a cat, think about why you like painting this cat and why the cat spirit relates to you, right? And that will help you make artistic choices, right? So say you're trying to choose a background for a cat. There's green and you're not sure it's green or yellow. So if you want to paint, so if it's the cat is about it's, if I'm trying to paint a cat that's about the cat's intelligence and its independent nature, does green fit better than yellow, right? Right. So so that makes the choice much easier rather than a lot of time you can't make a choice because you don't have a purpose for it, right? But if you attach a story or adjective to it, that makes your choice much easier.
Yeah. Martin in the chat asks, have you worked in abstract ways?
Yes, you can. So one danger in abstract painting is that you need to create your own rules, right? Like in realistic painting or impressionist painting, right? It's easy, right? It has to look like this, or like you play bluegrass, it has to sound like Bill Monroe, or if you play Bach, you play, So what's important in abstract work, it's not just totally free and freewheeling. You have to create your own rules for yourself and stick to it rather than just create new rules every time. So and that's what's and working with abstract artists, that's one thing I do. Like what again, give yourself, so instead of just give yourself too much freedom, limit your choices and give yourself a purpose for every painting. I think that whole thing about giving yourself an adjective and see if the color or the composition fits that adjective is a really, really good method to give yourself feedback on if something's working or not working. Okay, let's see. Let's in the chat. What else? Kathy said, are the monthly meeting going to have topic to discuss and what form it be? So it's a little bit both. I will start the first couple meeting with a specific a topic, and I will work with Yuting to get what people liked me to demo or talk about in each meeting. And of course, every meeting we start with feedback of the members' artwork. So
Yeah, I can give a more detailed. So before you sign up, actually after you sign up, you fill out a form telling what your burning issues are. So according to your response in that questionnaire, me and Wayne will figure out a couple of topics that fits most of the people's needs that's joining group. So this mentorship program is very different from a traditional online course where each of you will give the mentor feedback and input on what you want to learn the most, what your biggest question is at that moment. So each meeting, Wayne probably have a schedule, but that schedule is pretty flexible depending on what your needs are. So usually the first hour agenda is reviewing your homework. Each month's meeting, Wayne will give us homework according to where we are, what our needs are. And then the next meeting will review, give critiques to your homework. And then we'll talk about either business or technical questions you have in the first hour. Second hour, we'll go into a new topic. So you have new learning and review for the previous section.
Questions? Anything else? So, well, we only have a couple of minutes, but some thought. What are you guys' biggest hurdle for starting your painting?
Can you repeat your question? I'm not sure I understand.
What's your most difficult thing? What's the hardest thing for starting a painting?
For me, it's time.
Time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have short on time,
Yeah.
try to break it into small sections. So before I become a full-time painter, I also actually work a full-time job in high tech. And so I was showing my artwork and in shows and galleries and working a full-time job. So one of the things that I do is I break it into small chunks. Like one way you can do a small painting and then do a bigger version of it. Don't try to just do something really big. Don't expect too much out of yourself every time, but break it into small chunks. And so, because it's hard to figure out what to paint and do the painting at the same time. So instead of trying to paint something, maybe set some time to figure out what you're going to paint. And then next time you figure out the composition. And then next time you figure out the color and then do a painting, rather than just go up and face the blank canvas alone, So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And also keeping a sketchbook is really great. I hate to say this, but I've been in plenty of boring high-tech meetings where people are talking about something I don't care about, and I just draw on my sketchbook.
I got my notepad. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Jennifer in the chat said she has so many options and narrowing down to what to do is a challenge sometimes.
Good. Yep. Well, that's definitely something we can talk about. Again, that one thing that matters to you, right? So, yeah, we can definitely work with you on that. And then sometimes you can get subject matter like I talk about in the theme that fits couple like the night restaurant painting, right? It fits my night painting, my interior painting, and my restaurant painting, right? So sometimes you have things that overlaps your themes. So that always are good. And there's sometimes things you don't want to. Sometimes things are more difficult than it is, right? So depending if you just you want to separate exploring and just creating. Those are two things. So a lot of times, say if you have a painting that you want to do for a show, try to do and you have a limited time, try not to do something that's so new to you that it's become you're fighting two battles at once, right? Sometimes you just want to do something so it just goes well, right? So a lot of times what I do, I would do something difficult that I know are going to challenge me, but and then followed by 2 or 3 painting that I've already done something similar that's easy, right? Kind of stagger it a little bit, and that helps with the flow.
You know, what I find challenging, if I may I?
Yeah.
When I find challenging is not to start. When I start, I feel like I'm totally into it and so on and so on. And then if I leave it and I don't touch it for, I do other things and I don't touch it for a month or 2, then I feel, okay, I like this. I don't want to damage it, but at the same time, it's not finished.
Okay.
It's not finished. And I'm afraid to damage, but I know it has to,
Right. You know why that happens? Because you change the objective of your painting. So because this happens a lot where you change. This is where the logic comes in, right? If my painting's about this one thing, right, then it's easy for me to do it. But if I come back, but I don't remember what the painting is for, okay, say this painting is about new beginnings, right? So that things are easy because I know this artistic choice, color composition matches that. Then I come back next time, I forgot what this painting is for. Then I feel like this painting is about something else. Then I go a different direction. This happens a lot. So it's not just you. So you have to be clear what your objective for the painting is. And that's a discipline. That is big, that you state the goal rather than trying to make the painting too much than about too many things, right? So, and that's especially true in abstract work. You could change directions, but that makes the process kind of inefficient. So,
yeah. All right, we're at the end of our meeting, everyone. I think this is a very informative session, and then I myself know a little bit of what each point Wayne talked about, but I have never seen a place that he can group these things very holistically and then kind of mix and match different tips to even fuel your creative more. And then you can see from his painting examples, Wayne explore fearlessly, I would say. So I think we're gonna have fun in this group if you join us. And then if you have any question, Wayne, I know you're very open to answer. And then if you have question about the Mastrius, you can send the email to me. I can quickly type my email in the chat.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for
Thank you very
attending.
much.
Thank you much.
Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Wayne.
Thanks for having it. Thanks. Bye.